Greetings and welcome to our online three-column Bible study. Today we begin a 6-week study of the Old Testament book of Leviticus. That's right, Leviticus. We'll be praying through a book that has been largely ignored by the church. Now, later I want to answer the question that is on everyone's mind, the million-dollar question, and that is, why should we, followers of Jesus, people who live under the new covenant, not under the old covenant, take the time to read and pray through the book of Leviticus? My guess is that when reading through the Bible, this is the book in which readers practice their speed reading, right? But before I address that question, please bear with me as we discuss a few introductory matters regarding this book. Leviticus is the third book of the Bible, the third book of the Old Testament, and one of the books of law. The books of law are Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. Leviticus immediately follows the book of Exodus, doesn't it? And you may remember our recent online study in that book, the book of Exodus. Much of that book describes the building of the tabernacle, the house of worship that God told Moses to construct. Well, at the close of the book of Exodus, the construction of the tabernacle is complete. You will notice that Leviticus begins with God speaking to Moses from that very newly constructed tabernacle. And what does he say? He provides instructions for the sacrifices that he wants Israel to carry out in that tabernacle. So, you and I will see that Leviticus is all about sacrifice and how to worship God. The first major theme of the book that we will notice then is sacrifice, worship. A second major theme in the book of Leviticus is holiness. I would say that chapter 11, verses 44 and 45, give us the central teaching of Leviticus. God is speaking in this passage, and here's what he says to his children. I am the Lord your God. Sanctify yourselves, therefore, and be holy, for I am holy. You shall be holy, for I am holy. Now, that word holy just means separate. So when God charges us to be holy, to participate in holiness, he's encouraging us to separate ourselves from sin. Well, for God's presence to remain in the Israelite camp, holiness among the people was absolutely required. Holiness is the main concern of the book, and it explains the reason for all the sacrifices. God's people were sinners, and sin cannot be ignored. Sin had to be dealt with if holiness was to be achieved and maintained. God cannot condone sin, and so holiness was essential if God was to continue to live among his people. So we might divide Leviticus this way. Chapters 1 through 17 are mainly about sacrifice, and chapters 18 through 26, well, they are mainly about holiness and how to live a holy life before God. Now then, let's discuss why followers of Jesus should care about Leviticus. First of all, aren't we all concerned with these two themes? Sacrifice, holiness. Even though we are living under the new covenant, inaugurated by Christ himself, don't we too care about sacrifice and worship and living a holy, separate life, a life that is free from sin so that we can have a relationship with God? Sure we do. But second, while we may not be under the law of Moses today, at least not under the Sabbath law and the ceremonial law of the Old Testament, the law informs us of the will and nature of God. Behind those laws, behind the laws that we're going to read about in Leviticus, are principles that reveal the will and the character of God, and we certainly want to know God better, don't we? And finally, I want to share with you a third reason why we should read this book. It helps us to understand the New Testament better. We will discuss themes such as sacrifice, holiness, and atonement as we wend our way through Leviticus, and the truths that are found in these texts in the book of Leviticus and what they foreshadow must be grasped if the New Testament teaching is to be fully understood and appreciated. So, let me encourage you not to practice your speed reading in the next 6 weeks. Look for truths and principles that will help you to know God and His will for your life better. I'm so glad that you are planning to take this brief journey with me. To get started, I want you just to go to our website, then download the reading schedule. On that reading schedule, you will notice 2 columns titled Reading and 3-column Passage. The reading column identifies the scripture that we will read every day, and the 3-column passage is the one that we write out every day and then pray. To learn more about the 3-column Bible study method that I and several of us will be using, or to download a reading schedule, simply follow the link below. This page has all the details and materials that you will need to get started with praying Leviticus. Now, I know that you may have questions about our study as we read through this book, and if you do, I want you to feel free to ask them. You may shoot me an email, and I will do my best to be your guide on the side. My personal email address is holton.carey@gmail.com. Now, may the Spirit of God bless our study of the book of Leviticus. God bless you.